Today I fucked up by starting small talk with a kind little dude on the subway. Yesterday I got onto a subway train around rush hour, so it was quite packed. I squeeze in with my brother and find a spot to stand. I notice a little dude, about 6 or 7, in the seat next to where I'm standing squish up against his mother to make room for me. He looks up and smiles, his eyes inviting me to sit down next to him. As a larger human, 6 feet 3 inches, almost 200 pounds, the tiny half a seat that he had opened up wouldn't quite fit me. Though I couldn't let his kindness go unnoticed, so I decided to half-cheek it, to be sure he understood what he did was really nice. As I sat down I thanked him for making room and told him I really appreciated the gesture. We high-fived, and in hindsight I should have ended it there. I noticed he had his backpack with him, so I asked how school was that day. He told me it was just alright. Then I asked the fatal question, do you have a lot of homework over the weekend? He let me, the stranger, know he had a big math packet that he had to get done. Unfortunately for him, his mother was listening to our conversation. Her eyes lit up when he told me about the packet. She yelled, "Oh boy. You told me you finished that yesterday. Guess who doesn't get to play his video games this weekend? You little liar." His head sunk into his chest, as did mine right along with him. A few stops later his mom dragged him off the train by his little jacket. He looked back at me as they departed, a look that said, "Bro, I thought we were cool, how could you do me like that?" His look of betrayal is gonna haunt me for days. Hang in there, little buddy. One weekend may seem like an eternity at your age, but time flies. Too long didn't read, sat down next to a little dude on the subway because he went out of his way to make room for me. Asked him about homework, and now he can't play his video games for the whole weekend. Hey, he's the one that slipped up. Kid needs to learn to keep his stories straight even when talking to multiple people. Thought you were about to be accused of pedophilia when you asked if he was busy in the weekend, so this was a sigh of relief. At first when he said little dude I thought he meant a little person, an adult who happened to have dwarfism. And then when I saw he meant a child I thought the same as you. He's not going to be a good criminal when he grows up. Empathy and bad at lying, not a good recipe. The kid should have been smarter and lied to you too. Edit, Reddit Silver. Wow, thank you kind Redditor. Also y'all have left some hilarious comments, smile made my day. Edit 2, thank you to whomever bestowed me with gold. Made my day again. He can't play video games this weekend, but he got something much more valuable, a hard lesson about lying when you have homework. I work at an office supply store, and kids come in all the time with their parents. Knowing how last minute I was about homework occasionally, I never put a kid on the spot by asking about homework. Instead, while they're waiting for the copies their mom or dad wants, I ask them, what's the coolest thing you learned in school today? Or most interesting, or whatever. They start talking about the book they had to read for literature class, or the science experiment their teacher showed them, or about the history lesson they had that day, or even they learned the Spanish word for something that they heard all the time and never knew what it meant. If their parents are waiting for a long time, and I don't have other customers, it can sometimes open up a fascinating line of questioning. And most parents aren't asking them this, so they have no one to tell it to except their classmates who learned the exact same thing. They're usually very happy to share with me. Anyway, I invite you to use my question in the future. Instead of asking them about homework, ask them what cool or interesting thing they learned recently. Much less likely to get the kid in trouble, if a teacher taught it, anyway, and has the opportunity to have the conversation grow. Today I fucked up by trying to play my dad's didgeridoo. So my dad has had this didgeridoo in the house since he visited his sister in Australia 10+ years ago. My parents wanted to go out for a walk, but I decided I'd eaten too much cheese and couldn't be asked. While they were out, the internet went down, so I was sort of wandering around looking for something to do when I spotted the didge. I thought to myself, in all these years I've never actually tried to play it, it's more of a decoration and I barely take it in when I see it, and maybe it's time. I pick it up and put it to my lips. I felt like I knew what I was doing and that it was similar to playing a trumpet and wanted to play a long, loud note. I take a sharp inhale, and immediately feel something hit the back of my throat. I splutter really hard and a small white globular thing comes flying out and hits the floor. At first I thought it was saliva and ignored it as I had a weird sensation in my throat and mouth. It felt like tingling to start with but grew into more of a tickle on the inside of my cheeks and a bit on my gums. I glance down at the white stuff on the floor and see several baby spiders crawling out of it and in all directions. The second I clock what's happened, I feel something tickling my top lip and slap my mouth with my hand. I have a squished spider on my lip and instantly go into panic mode. I run into the bathroom and spit repeatedly into the sink to see crushed spider bodies and some severed legs, some of which are still attached to parts of the body, and are trying to drag themselves away from the plug hole. I urge several times and then frantically swill my mouth out with water. I don't think my mouth will ever feel normal again. Too long, didn't read, thought I could play didgeridoo, inhaled a mouthful of spiders. Edit, Woe Gold. And front page. Tar. Glad you all like/hate my story. The tube was probably a portal to Australia. That's correct. It remains linked to the land. Don't worry, maybe you'll get superpowers and become Spider-Mouth. You will develop the ability to spit spiders from your mouth, also webs, but mostly spiders. I'm Australian. Was bitten on the lip by a whitetail spider that emerged from the mouthpiece of the pipe I had just smoked. Stoned, lip becoming necrotic, I called the doctor to have him tell me, yeah, it happens. I'm tired of Australianing. How do you delete someone else's post? In an alternate universe, today I fucked up by laying my eggs inside what I thought was a hollowed out log. No one played the stupid thing for like 10 generations. How was I supposed to know what the giant idiot would do when the internet went out? Today I fucked up by going down a Reddit rabbit hole. This didn't happen today but took place earlier this year shortly after my wife and I bought a new car. I was reminded about it today as my birthday is this month. Don't worry, you'll understand why that's relevant soon enough. I came home from work and, like every other day, go to the restroom and browse Reddit while I'm taking care of my business. Most of you are probably doing just that right now. Don't judge me. I can't remember what sub I was in, or even what the original post was about, but the comment section started to get pretty wild, as many of them do. Before I knew it, I was reading about the donkey show. Yes, that one. Some of the comments had links of what happens there or what can happen there. I wasn't interested in seeing what that was all about, so I just kept reading. Someone mentioned and linked another post talking about how the donkey show was similar to a specific genre of pornography. Midget porn. I thought, what the hell? I've never seen this sort of thing before. So I clicked. As weird as it sounds, I clicked out of curiosity. I swear. What I saw was exactly what I expected to see. This specific video was of a man and a little person going at it. After a minute or so, I had seen enough and backed out of the post to continue browsing the sub I was in. I finished up in the restroom, took a shower, and got dressed to go out to eat. I get the kids in the car and wait for my wife to come out of the house. She was taking a while, so I grabbed my phone and started messing around with it. My wife comes out and gets in the car. Immediately she says, "What the hell is this?" I put my phone down and looked at the dash she was pointing to. On the big screen, in the middle of the dash, of the new car we just bought, was something along the lines of "Blonde midget gets railed by Big BL." I had never had a car with this feature before, so I was unaware that the last thing you played on your device would show up on a display like this. I knew I was screwed. It felt like an eternity to try and open my music app back up so I could change what was displayed on the screen. After about 5 minutes of explaining to her how easy it was to find yourself down a Reddit rabbit hole, she finally understood but now thinks I have a thing for little people. Before we even left the garage, she was on the phone with my aunt telling her everything. All I could hear was roaring laughter from both sides of the conversation. Before the conversation was over, they had my next birthday party planned out. I'm pretty sure I'll be having a few extra people show up for my birthday celebration this year. Yay me? She said to me one day, I know you won't leave me for another woman, but I'm afraid you'll leave me for half of one. I doubt she will ever let this one go. Too long didn't read. I went down a rabbit hole browsing Reddit and ended up watching midget porn, causing my wife to think it is a fetish of mine. Edit. Damn. I fell asleep for 6 hours and woke up to 3 golds, 2 silvers, and a poop. You guys are awesome. I'm glad you got a kick out of my mishap. Edit 2, just to clarify, my kids are too young to be able to read what was on the screen, and while I was pleading my case, we kept it very G-rated. Edit 3, removed the race of the man in the description so people stop getting triggered. This is hilarious. At least your wife had a good sense of humor about it. She'll be laughing until the moment he actually develops a fetish during the party she has planned for him. I just wanna say congratulations on a proper and understandable too long didn't read. Many posts turn it into a joke or a single really vague sentence that you don't have enough context or sometimes not even what actually happened in the end. Okay, I'll bite. What's the donkey show? It's when a donkey has carnal knowledge of a woman in front of a paying audience. Allegedly, this usually happens in Tijuana. Edit, I don't know how to spell the names of Mexican cities. She said to me one day, I know you won't leave me for another woman, but I'm afraid you'll leave me for half of one. Lol, your wife is brutal. Although I feel it wasn't cool of her to share this with your aunt. More of a hobbit hole than a rabbit hole, no.